Hello and welcome, I'm Arumba. Thank you for joining me. Let's play some more of our Factorio with mods campaign. So I found a resource deposit of this alien ore. You'll notice there's not very much. There's only 10 units, 9 units. It's pretty small. So we'll have to go looking and find quite a bit of it at some point. We'll research armor crafting because of habit. There's no purpose to armor. At least the earlier stages of it, because there's no one to attack you. But, I mean, you could get run over by a train. It's possible. I'm just saying, like, if you were to, you know, spend a lot of time walking around on train tracks, you could get hit by a train. And if you do build power armor, you would be safe. So, yeah, I've completed about half the loop around the base. One thing I think I might do, actually, for this playthrough is turn off the, where is it? It's under graphics. Show pollution on minimap when detailed info is off. Because we don't care. Because there is no such thing as pollution. I'll just make it a little bit easier. Oh no, actually didn't change anything there. Just made the minimap look different. Alright, Forest, you're really starting to piss me off. Come on. Stupid trees, get out of my way. I'm trying to make my way through the forest so I can know where to build my main bus, please. Excuse me. Alright, it's getting a little bit dark out, but as long as we can identify, you can see that we only have a tiny bit of water kind of in a ring around where I started, which is perfect. I think I put it on very low. I didn't put it in start location only, so we can still find water elsewhere. It's just that it is very rare, which is good. Tons of buildable space. Lots of trees over here, though. So let's see, if we were to build a main bus, noticing the little trees there, like we got a big open space here. Eventually we can get all the trees to be removed. Space over here. I don't need access to water for any of it. I think maybe, well, there's no, I mean, there is iron up there. There's iron everywhere. It's not going to be too hard to find what we need. Huh. Well, the new furnace layout that I use, what I was doing before is I was using like a whole series of splitters and stuff to make mixed belts, and then you'd end up with having the need for faster belts because the belts couldn't move enough material in only half of the sides, so you had to do a whole lot of belt upgrades, and it was just kind of annoying. So now, from the very beginning, I just don't use a mixture of belts. It's just, you just use a fuel line. It does require a few extra inserters, because you've got to build more. You got to build the long-handed inserters to provide access to the fuel line, but that's not really a big complaint. Okay, we're gonna get military, so we have access to the shotgun, so we can blow some stuff up. How are we doing on some of this stuff? It's not bad. We got 44 of those guys. Those are always useful for making the electric mining drills and stuff. Well, I think we start off by just getting a little bit more of this stuff automated. We can even just build a miniature little thing here. It does not need to be very big. It's not going to, certainly not going to be permanent. Well, I guess nothing in life is permanent, is it? It's a sad truth. Alright, so we can get some iron over here, and then let's not even really worry too much about it, but we will do a, you know what I really should do is, why don't we, yeah, okay. I keep on saying I should really. We're just gonna, okay? So we're gonna run the iron there, we're gonna run the fuel this way, and it's not gonna be a big one, we'll make a big one in a minute, but we will actually, like, I'll show you the layout right now. We'll even put the buffers on it. Alright, so we will need a lot of those things. Which means we should set up, if possible, a, you know what would be better, instead of just making all these inserters, let's set up a couple assembling machines making circuits. Nothing too serious. We have enough chests. We don't need to work on any of that stuff yet. Let's get optics, because it can be a little bit dark. And we'll go here. We'll need a few inserters, please. Just a couple would be nice. You're going to make some copper coil for us. And, I'll actually move you up a little bit. So, raw material. You're going to be coil, you're going to be circuits. Thank you very much. And you just need a little bit of iron. Keep our science going. We got to get a fuel thing. This is why I wanted to get this whole thing started, because always having to deal with refueling things is quite annoying. You're going to be amazed when we get to the point where we have the faster level the faster level miners. They are just nuts. They are quite fun. I like them a lot. I mean, they do simplify the act of mining. Like, it's not really a big deal to have to do the mining, but... So, for many of you, this will be somewhat familiar as we continue to build, because it's going to be similar to what I've built in the past, but... What are we doing on power? Looks like we are in need of a second steam engine already. Three boilers should be more than enough to keep that stuff going. Now normally what I would do is I would go something like this, right? And I would put them, and we'd have two of these things going parallel, and we'd have a track down the center like this, right? Very simple adjustment, but it works best if you do it from the very beginning. Instead of having to rebuild your whole damn base, is to just put a chest right here on each furnace. And it might seem excessive, but my gosh, when I was playing by myself a little bit ago, does it make a big difference. Now you still need this, because if you are going to upgrade to electric furnaces later, then you still end up losing... Let's say that this was the electric furnace, right? It would go to here. It would take up 3 tiles. Here, just pretend like this thing is an electric furnace. Then what you would end up doing is it goes like this, and then you go like that. So if you want a buffer and you want the electric furnace, you still do need to build that little extra thing to leave yourself with enough space. But then you can get rid of the fuel line, and then you're good to go. So, anyway. Let's give it a go and see how it works. I think it's going to work spectacularly. Okay, optics is done. Let's get logistics. Let's get a few lamps being made. Now, of course, power, you still kind of space them like so and like so. And they fit... actually, I'm sorry, my mistake. You don't put them there and there. You put them in the same spot you normally would have, which is there and there. And here, 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 and here on this side. So the only thing this thing's lacking now is just power. And it's good to go. It's going to make stuff for us forever. We'll cut that line there, because there's no reason for it to be like that yet. And we'll get started on the other side. I made these lamps, I'm not even using them yet, am I? Alright, I need a little bit more copper in there. You guys could use a little bit more of everything. That's working. I'm gonna just grab those for my own personal use. We'll grab that. Let's throw some some iron in there so we get some more of those things being made. And let's make sure all of our things are working. You know, actually I don't want to burn the wood. I'll turn the wood into a whole bunch of electric poles. And you never got your long-handed inserter. So why is it that this buffer is so important? Well, the thing is that the problem I've had with the main bus is that what I tend to do is, like, I put at the end of the main bus an overflow thing. Like, it'd look like this, right? I'd go like that, and then I'd have something like that, and then I'd collect anything that's coming out at the end of the bus after everything has taken stuff off of it. And the problem is that then the main bus never gets to backlog, never backs up, never overflows, and then you never get full throughput on your side systems. Because it's always just bleeding through the system. And what I've found now is that if you do it this way instead, where you put the buffer right on the furnaces will always produce at full capacity. So you can see in your production log how much you're producing. Always. You know exactly what your production is. And then you can look at your consumption and see, okay, this is exactly how much I'm actually using. And then if the number is bigger, like if you're producing more than you're using, then you'll find that you're building up a backlog in here. And then if you do it the other way, or all of a sudden you're using more than you're producing, then this will start to drain. And it's just simpler having the buffer at the beginning of the system than at the end of the system. And so that's pretty much the whole reason why I wanted to make a new Factorio campaign, is because I've learned this fact, and perhaps it's not as complicated, or maybe it's really obvious to some people, but it wasn't that obvious to me, so I like it better this way. We will just start mining some stone. We're going to have access to steel stuff soon as well. Alright, so we need to get our furnaces here. That doesn't feel right. Nope. Now this is my favorite part. We're almost to the point where this layout starts to really make sense. So part of the issue I was having was that, like, in order to actually get the hybrid line, I would do splitters, right? First off, let's get a few so that I can demonstrate. We got logistics. Let's get some electronics going. So, like, up here, I would have, like, okay, this is the point where I want the things to merge. And I've gone through a few versions of it, right? I've had it before where I will, say I want the resources to go in both directions, so I'll put a splitter here, and I'll have a hybrid line, and I'll have, say, something like this. And then I'll have coal on, say, this side, and iron on this side, and then you merge the two, side load it, and then you've got a hybrid line. You don't have to use the long-handed inserters because you can get both off of one line, but then later on you got to redo the whole thing, you got to purge the line, and it's just a pain in the butt. But using my other layout as well, I was having issues where I couldn't get I couldn't, like, fit the coal, like the whole thing up here. It's just this big huge spaghetti work of lines and stuff. And what I found actually works really well is you just give yourself a little bit of space above the bus, and then you just make it a loop. Loops are awesome. And then let's say that we put in another one of these things over here, for instance, for copper. Then this thing goes down, and then at the bottom it just turns and it goes right back up. And it's just so simple. And so when we want to get the iron over that way, we can do something like this where we do a loop here, but I do actually find that for the iron, the coal you don't use, like the fuel you don't need that much of. Like, it's not a big deal. And the coal is the temporary line, right? Because eventually you're gonna not need it anymore when you get the electric furnaces. But the actual iron ore, I do like to make a little bit different. We do use splitters for those at the top. We have no copper. Oops. Yeah, no. Steel, no. Stop it. Apparently it's going to make one steel for me. It's very nice of it. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but okay. We'll take it. Thank you for the one steel plate. I guess I should make a couple pieces of steel. Here. We'll make the one belt. The one guy making steel. What I'd actually meant to do is come up here and do something like this. So, Like normally what I would do now is bring the iron in from the top, and we would use a splitter. That way the iron load goes to both sides, and you have an even distribution on both sides of this belt. Because right now, if we were to run it in a loop like this, we would end up with most of the iron on the left side of the belt, because they would have priority access to the iron ore. So we don't necessarily want to do that. But for now, it's not a big deal at all. So we will go ahead and upgrade, get a few more of these things going. I've also really simplified the way I do mining. I just have belt, miners, and then a row of electrical poles vertically the whole way through. So like the entire thing. And then on this side you do another miner with a belt, and another miner, and then a thing, and you just, who cares? You know, some of them end up running out a little bit earlier. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Just mine. The thing is, and it especially makes sense with the peace mod, you know, just mine as much as you possibly can. Let's get a few more of these lights, and put them there. One thing I might do is continue the fuel line on over. And that way it's automatic. Wouldn't mind getting a little bit more of this stuff going on. Preferably not having to come over here and pick it up. Like if we could get it onto its own little bus or its own little smelting area, that'd be ideal. But for now, a couple more of those will help. And do we have enough things that we can make a steel tool? Nice. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to actually make like a small main bus to just do red and green science. And then while we're knocking out all the red and green science, we'll go start working on the bigger area. So, I guess we will take the time to set up another small area here for the copper. Just so we have a little bit of copper that's automatic. So that's going to go here, 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 and here. We're going to need a bunch more inserters. Let's grab some circuitry so we don't have to spend the time making all of it. Alright. I think I'll grab those up. I'm all out of fuel again. I did take the fuel down. Take the fuel assembly down. We have a splitter. Yeah. Go ahead and allow there to be a little bit more stored at the end of this line. That way if I want to walk by and pick some up, it's not a big deal. Alright, so we got 37 inserters. Let's get a few more long-handed inserters. Get these things going. I don't think we're going to need these actually to be in this ratio. Let's only set up 4 copper smelters for our initial little bus. We will do the buffers and everything though, because I just think that's a good habit to be in. Okay, so this would be copper. That's copper, that's fuel. So the fuel line, as messy as it is, we'll just continue it up this way. Normally this whole area would be kind of reserved a little bit more. But the fuel line can just kind of loop through a few times, it's no big deal. We'll put that power there, and there. There, and there. Okay, now the only thing we need to do is get some copper on the line, and we're good to go. And then we stop worrying about all this stuff. I place a lot of excess electrical poles these days. I really don't care. Ended up with some copper iron ore on there. How'd that happen? It's a little bit different. Oh, that would explain it right there. Alright, the other thing is it's a lot easier to clean up, just purge the buffer by walking through and grabbing it. And the other thing that I really like about this, and I haven't actually gotten to this point in my solo campaign, is that I think, you know, if you just upgrade all these buffers to be passive provider chests, then you can just instantly kind of put everything into the network, which is really cool. We're going to get advanced automation 2. Actually, I think I would rather do the split, like, a little bit closer. A little bit closer. Okay, so now we get copper coming in. We've got our 2 lines. And it's going to be ugly. But let's get this stuff connected. And I'm already out. We are not doing so hot on power. Alright, cool. Well, I'm going to take a short break here, but I do look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we will hopefully get the green science set up really quick, and then we can go start building out a much, much bigger bus as we prepare for oil. So, alright, cool. Thanks for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you soon.